Denox Live, Episode 106, Season 2. Denox reviews the Alienware PS2/PC controller.
Oh, so that's where my other red hat went. Give me that, you thief. Just joking, Kirby. You're awesome. But still, I'm gonna be borrowing this. I'll give it back to you later. Hello, YouTube. This is DenoxSeries speaking once again, and this is gonna be yet another hardware review. Kind of like a following up to the Logitech wireless mouse that I reviewed a couple videos ago. Well, today we're gonna be reviewing a controller. I think it's kind of rare nowadays, if I'm not mistaken, because I don't even see that in GameStop or anywhere else in Puerto Rico anymore. So, you tell me, could this be a rare controller nowadays? The Alienware, you know that Alienware computers are actually super duper expensive these days, right? Well, today I'm gonna be reviewing the controller of that hunk of a pricey PC. But, you know, I'm not gonna buy the PC. But, this was still a lot cheaper compared to the PC, obviously. I'll tell you the price very soon. So, here you see the controller itself. Looks pretty much like a PS2 controller to me, doesn't it? Yep. It has the same shape as the PS2 controller, and these wires right here are kind of like in a different material compared to a regular PS2 controller. Not sure you can see well, you might see it blurry, but it's not, but true, it is for the PS2 and PS1 of course, but not only it is for the PS2, but you could also use it on the computer as well. You could even use this controller right here to play Super Nintendo emulators, Game Boy emulators, even computer games and stuff like that. Pretty much all sorts of computer games you could play with this controller. It's actually pretty good. Now to review the buttons. Obviously, if you know what a PS2 controller is about, there's not much to explain here. Here you got the D-pad, and I'll tell you one thing, when I first got this, it looks so darn cool. And supposedly, when you connect this to your computer or to the PS2, this little Alienware face right here is gonna light up red. Its eyes right here, you see the two black eyes? It's gonna light up red. I'm gonna show it to you very soon. Here you got the select up here, and you got the start button right here. And this is, you know what it is. If you know what a PS2 controller is, you definitely know what these buttons are for. This, two analog sticks, just like the PS2 controller. And one of the analog stick, let's see, even when I first got it, there was a little problem. See this? It just sticks right there. And it kinda, like, a little bit uncomfortable to play in some games. But, really, I think this controller is actually pretty good, but it's not as good as a Sony PS2 controller. This is has all the same functions as it, but you know. And obviously, guess what's on the top of the controller? Yep, two L and R buttons. Obviously, for the same as the PS2 controller as well. So basically, in the back, it's like kind of rubbery. Very rubbery. You could definitely see all the marks, all the dirt. Dirt could really attract to this thing very easily. I'll tell you that right now. And in this side, it's kind of like I don't know, like in a different type of material. I forgot what it's called. This little glassy part right here, the shiny, yeah. That's made out of that's kind of made out of plastic. This is made out of plastic, and this thing back here is made out of rubber, pretty much. So two different materials. It's kind of good because the rubbery part makes it very comfortable to hold in your hands. A lot more, probably a little bit more comfortable than a regular PS2 controller. That's what I would say. But it's pretty nice. And either ways, the PS2 controller holds very well, but this one makes it even more comfortable, if I'm not mistaken. Well, I think that's all to be said for this controller. There's not much other to say, other than to try it out right now. So, this Alienware controller cost about 25 bucks when I got in GameStop like 2 years ago. Back in 2007 when they were selling it. This was the last one in stock, I believe, when I got it. And yes, that was because I was looking for a controller that plays on emulators on my computer, because at the time I didn't have no R4 or a hack PSP. So I had to buy something to play like hack games or emulators on the computer, which I wanted that. I didn't want to use the keyboards anymore. So this is the reason why I got this. I still use it every now and then. Not a lot, but you know. But when I use it, it's awesome. And sometimes I balance the time I use this controller and the PS2 controller when I'm playing my Persona 3 and dot hack and stuff like that on my PS2. Yeah, that's what it's like. So I guess for a hardware review, that's all I have to explain in that part. So let's see how this baby works, shall we? Now, as you see here, the controller has been plugged in to my computer. This is where it starts, if you can see well. It's inside the USB thingy right now. And as soon as it goes in, this thing lights up. Like I told you before, this little alien head eyes, it lights up red. And not only that lights up red, but the size of the controller also lights up. I really like the way it lights up. It's really cool. It makes it very futuristic or some ways. Or, you know, very alien-like controller. I don't know. An evil controller, I could say. Yeah, before I leave, I'm gonna show you what this little thing can do on the computer. As you see here, I have an emulator minimized right now. So I'm gonna put this back up. And I'm playing Kingdom Hearts for the Game Boy Advance. As you see, I'm pressing this button and this button, and it activates, you know, the L button, and I press the start button right here. This starts, and it responds with the computer, so it's pretty cool. And now I press the X button. So this is like kind of like proof that you could actually do a few things with this controller. You could play emulator games on the computer just fine. I'm gonna show you another example before I go. Yeah, another example with REUPLOAD 2 for the Game Boy Advance. I'm just pressing this button here and the game responds flawlessly. Only problem with my controller, that sometimes the left on the D-pad right there does not respond so quickly, and the design to respond with the buttons are much weaker than the Sony controllers. So if you're gonna buy an Alienware controller that could cost about like $20 by now on eBay, well, I recommend you take good care of this controller. Don't press it too hard, but either ways, it's gonna be a great controller if you want to play PlayStation 2 games with 2 players, or mostly for playing Game Boy Advance emulator and stuff like that. This is a really good controller for it. Of course, there are other type of controllers that could be better than this, but this is one of the ones I could recommend because it's been with me for like almost 2 years, and I used it quite a few times during that time, and it still works great. Well, that's pretty much all for the review. Take care, God bless, and stay cool. And the alien is definitely gonna stay cool to now as well. Bye bye.